Could that ruling today mean for New York, which also has a similar law on the books? Well, joining us now live to talk about that is Thomas Carr. He is a partner at the Tully Rinckey law firm in Albany. And thanks so much for joining us here tonight, Tom.
No problem.
Well, this really is such a hot button issue right now, and I just want to start out by getting your initial thoughts on this ruling.
Well, I think the problem with the Indiana law was that it went too far. It applied to sex offenders who were off probation, who were off parole, and basically the appeals court looked at it and said, no, you're restricting their First Amendment rights. It's no longer punitive for the acts for which they are convicted. Now it's prohibitive on something that they may do in the future.
Okay, and here in New York State, we do have, like I said, legislation. The E-Stop was signed into law back in 2008, and some would say that New York takes this law even a bit farther than that, no?
Well, the New York law really applies to people who are still on probation or who are on a conditional discharge or are under some kind of supervision, number one. And number two, it doesn't give a blanket ban on social networking sites. It just says that the sex offenders have to register their emails, any sites that they're on, that they have to be registered so that the supervising authorities know where they are and what they're doing when they're online.
So kind of that little distinguishing point there, I guess. Is there a chance then that this could be more of a trend? Like we mentioned, 3 states already having this overturned, I guess. Could we see that happen in New York?
I don't think we will see that happen in New York, because New York is not just a blanket ban. New York, it doesn't prevent sex offenders from accessing social networking sites. It just means that they have to be monitored while they're on those sites. And also, New York is working with online gaming sites to let the gaming sites know if the person's a sex offender and if there are issues with them being on those sites.
Yeah, and I know sites like MySpace, Facebook have said that the registry like the one here in New York has actually been helpful for them in identifying some of these sex offenders. Exactly,
and it's just another tool to use to monitor the sex offenders. But as it's not a blanket ban, I don't think it will fall foul like the Indiana law did.
So I guess, do you see in Indiana lawmakers trying to rewrite the legislation to look something more like New York then?
I'm sure they will. I mean, the existing law that was just struck down was ruled being too restrictive, so I'm sure that the legislature will go back and look at curbing some of those restrictions and doing something maybe even paralleling New York.
All right. Well, Thomas Carr, like I said, from Tully Rinckey, thank you again for sharing your insight with us tonight.
No problem.
And this is also what we were asking you about in this evening's CBS6Albany.com Talk 1300 web poll. We asked if you think that sex offenders should be banned from social networking sites. The latest results right in front of you. 78% of you said yes, they should be banned, while 22% of you said no, they shouldn't be. Very interesting in light of today's ruling. We want to